Okay, here's my sound preferences. I like a variety of different tunings, but really what gets my juices flowing, starting from the lower octaves, is in the bass. I like my bass punchy, tight, fast with a kick. I like a little bit of energy down there, maybe a little bit of warmth, but not too much into the getting into bass bleeding. It's got to have enough weight to make male vocals, make piano, cello, percussions, have the right tonality. When it comes to my mids, I do like my mids and mid clarity, but I don't like too forward a mid, so that's the upper mids I'm talking about. So keep the pinna gain down a little bit and not make it too forward a presentation. And when it comes to the highs, I do like my sparkly highs. At my age, I'm probably losing a little bit of the high frequencies. But not too much where it's sibilant and in your face. So that's what I like. Okay, today I have something for you. If you're one of my followers, then you will know that I haven't done a review for Penon or ISN in a very long time, and that was for a very good reason. I'm just going to give you some context here. And throw out, just so you know, where my biases used to lie. About probably a year ago now, I parted ways with Penon because the head of Penon came on and told me to not review anything unless it was basically 4 stars and above. He didn't want to see a review. So I got a little bit upset with that because I think that censorship is really, really wrong for the industry. So I got very upset and called him out on it. And again, in the chi-fi space, if you do that and a company loses face, it's a very big insult to them. Though I still believe Penon owes me an apology for doing that. And they owe it to their reviewers. And the same as HeadFi. Why I don't like that forum is because, well, the other day I posted something on there with that screenshot right here, showing the proof that that I got asked to not review stuff that didn't look favorable to the company, and they took it down. So yeah, not happy with HeadFi either. I think it's all about, that forum is all about the money. Anyway, let's go on to, and why I'm telling you this is because of biases, right? All reviewers written, I don't even care if you're a reviewer. If you're posting something, you're an influencer already. So why I'm telling you this is because I'm at a good place right now to that I'm over that. I'm not spicy about that anymore, and I don't care. So for that, if I was doing this 6 months ago, I'd probably still tell you that I'm really biased against Penon ISN, and it would have skewed my review. So I'm telling you that because being upfront. So I'm reviewing today the ISN ECB80, $699 IM, and this one is quite nice, really nice, and I love it to smithereens. I'll tell you that straight up in this review. Comes in blue, comes in black. Blue looks amazing, really nice. And super pretty shells that you can see, very nice and transparent, really pretty. And your choice of cable. So let's go do this unboxing, which will take a very brief amount of time. This is the box. You open it up. You get the IMs and a case, which is okay. Again, nice little pocketable case, says ISN on it, which is nice. Pleather. And then you get a choice of one of 3 cables. I just happen to have them all from my former time of reviewing ISN. And which is good and weird and bad at the same time, because it says, okay, would you like to pick a C2, an H2, or an S2? Now, the C2 is just copper. The H2 is a hybrid of copper and silver plated, and the S2 has more silver content in their cables. And the weird part about that is you can pick your cable, but you buying this IM, how would you know which one to get? So I would probably say well, here's my recommendation personally. I would either go to the H2 or the S2, because I think a brighter cable is better. It's something with more silver content. So that's would be my recommendation. The other weird part about, and why I didn't use this cable, is they don't have any ear hooks. None. They don't come with ear hooks, and it's not really an option for this cable. Well, some of the Penon stuff you can get an option to actually ask for ear hooks on their cable, which I still find it's weird that they're the only ones that don't. And if you weren't aware, yeah, most of the cables don't come with ear hooks. So I didn't use this cable, though I did do a comparison with the S2 and the H2. And I listened to it with the copper too, the C2. But for me, I chose a cable that sounded, in my opinion, slightly better than all 3 of those ISN cables, and it was one from ISN. And this cable is a silver foiled plated copper cable, incredibly soft, highly recommended for the ECB80. That was my choice. Let's get down into what the hell is into the shell. Now this is interesting. 2 8mm LCP drivers, liquid crystal polymer drivers, plastic. And they're in a configuration that's firing against each other, clamshell, like that, and then sent out through a little tube through the nozzle. There is one Sonyan balanced armature. It doesn't say which one. For the mids, there is one Knowles BA. Doesn't say which one it is. For the highs, 2 Sonyan EST drivers. And I'm thinking these might be 2nd generation because they're the dual ones. And there is 2 Sonyan bone conduction drivers. And like the BGVP, they're IMs that port it through the shell, but it's actually vented through the shell close to the nozzle, little bit different than the placement than the BGVP uses in the DMA and the Phantom, but it does a very similar job. And I'm going to get into that in sound in a bit. And I got a little blurb about the bone conduction drivers. So firstly, let's talk about the bass, and I am glad ISN didn't do the marketing shit of calling this an isobaric design, because that would be false. They're basically just two drivers firing against each other out and ported out through the tube. And I typically find that produces nice bass. Does it produce more bass than a single dynamic driver? I don't think so. Why they choose to do this, I'm not sure. But that's the way they've chosen to do it. But I find that with this typical application, it loses a bit of bass texture, especially when it comes to mid bass. And I do find that in this set as well. The bass is prominent. It's not overpowering. It's not bass head levels. But I love my bass, and the ECB80 turns my crank. As for the texture and attack speed, is the more musical side with a big kind of woofer sound, more thumpy with a slightly slower decay, and that's the way I hear this bass. And I know others have described it as fast and punchy, but even with changing multiple ear tips and sources, I'd never... No, I get a chance to listen to the Canucks do. We listen to a lot of gear, and maybe that's where my experiences come from, listening to so many different IAMs. And well, for instance, I'll give you a comparison later on with the Solomon. So, which has same driver, similar driver configuration, or the same driver configuration with the bass woofers like that, and it is fast and punchy. So let's talk about, as we go into the sound of this a little bit more, the lower mids with male vocals are exceptional, lush, musical, and fun. Overall mids that do the 80% are more on the warmer, darker side, especially when it comes to female vocals. I would say they would come across as slightly recessed on the majority of tracks, again, I listen to. Again, lush and musical would be the good descriptors there. And that's because of that, and here's a graph of this. There's a scoop into the upper mids that would make that happen. So they don't come very forward at you until you get into the more of the... Well, I would say the mid-range is kind of scooped out in that one spot, but then the upper mids picks up energy into the treble as well. So it's a really interesting tuning, and I really do like it quite a lot. I like a more musical, lush approach. The upper mids in the treble recover really nicely, as I said. It expresses great emotion and blends nicely into the treble, which is, again, nicely extended. Quite nice. In the upper registers, it comes across as quite detailed and resolving. Never a hint of harshness or sibilance for me, even at very high volumes, and that I like as well. Stage is quite immersive. Is it massively 3D? No, but it does have good spatial placements. It has above average depth and layering, which I really praise this set quite a bit for that. I think overall, a very enjoyable tuned IAM. It needs a bit of tip rolling and source selection. So I went through there too, and I ended up getting these new Elitech Baroque stage tips. Phenomenal choice for me with this IAM, because it really just did that. It tightened up the bass a little bit more, and it brought out the stage, and it brought out the really nice tonality in it, and I didn't get so much of that recessed vocal approach when it came to the mids there in the upper register. So really, really nice pairing with these tips and this IM. It really was nice. So and also sources too. So again, I found a brighter source, a more neutral source. Like for me, it was the Astelin Kern Con Max. It was the Cayenne N3 Ultra for me that really did it. And then I also just picked up Kulos MUB1. And wow, those two together were fantastic. Really, really nice. So, who is this IM for? Well, people like me who can really appreciate a full and musical replay, lush, yet have excellent technical chops. And that's what I found with this IM. Just to give you a couple references for music-wise, Touch of Your Lips by Ben Webster, some jazz. Oh man, I love jazz on this set, and it really plays nicely into the tuning. You can really melt into the music with the ECB80. Great bass, and the trumpet and hi-hats put you right there in the jazz club. Really nice. For vocals, female vocals, Lonely Weekend by Casey Musgraves. And I love, again, here where the ECB80 replays the vocals. A bit more on the husky side, but so full and musical, it's easy to get pulled into the vocals, right? It may not be technically correct or tonality-wise or timbre of her vocals perfectly correct. They're colored in a way, but I really like that. Some thoughts I had really about this set is now that I've listened to a bunch of different brands who incorporated one type or another of bone conduction driver. Some brands like the Unique Melody use one kind. Others like the Empire Ears use it. I think they have it called bass cannons or whatever they called. They're all using it for bass vibration. And then there are other brands like BGVP and now ISN who decided to integrate the Sonyan bone conduction style into their tunings. And there's also, I think, a fourth kind, and that was like what KB Ear uses in their KBO 2 and 3 now. The Pula using it in the Anvil. It's kind of that elastic style bass, and you can hear those by tapping the shell. And I got another one from the Canucks today. The Grit is here, and I got an Etude, so I'm going to listen to a couple more with some kind of vibration driver. So my observations about some of the bone conduction drivers is I came away with all of the Sonyan versions the Canucks have heard so far are not just for show. And there is some real added value to the tunings. And this would play into the ECB80. While not as visceral to shake your ear hairs or add an extra layer of second harmonics like you would get with the elastic style, and it not vibrating your inner ear hairs like the Empire Ears. I find with the Sonyan bone conduction drivers, it's done in a not so subtle way to actually, and it definitely enhances the stage. That's, I think, one of the big ones, and plays a big part in the overall timbre and the tonality and realism. A tribrid, one without bone conduction drivers, just don't pull off. So I think there's a special element to the Sonyan bone conduction drivers that really do add a special element, and some of that you can't see in a graph. It's just audible to you. And out of all the bone conduction drivers, is probably the one of the most subtle but present there. that it's really affecting the sound. And I think the implementation that ISN did with the ECB80 really did a great job again with this. I really like the way it sounds. I really like this IM. It's actually on my top 10 for sure, right? Now I'm going to give you just one comparison. So to conclude this whole thing, I think for me, I love bone conduction drivers and the Sonyan probably more than any other IMs that don't have it. I really like quadbrids like this. The BGVP DMA, what a phenomenal IM at $300. I think it can't be beat and competes higher. Right up into, like, you don't see a lot of now $400, $500, $600 sets. You don't see a whole lot of them anymore, probably because, well, IMs like the BGVP's DMA have crushed them. Now, the DMA at $300, fantastic, hard to beat. Not that pretty, but there you be. This would be number 2. So if you were getting that and you wanted to take a step up and you loved what you heard in that IM, the ECB80 would be your step up. Absolutely, highly recommended at $700. But what happens when you step up more? And this review is coming out soon for the Solomon at $12.99. So I mean, if your budget was more than $300 and you could step up into the ECB80, I would say go for it. Absolutely, no hesitation. If you had a budget of $1,300 and you could step up into this new BGVP Solomon, it might be the best IM I've ever heard at any price, including the $16,000 Fugaku. The difference being, I was talking earlier about those dual dynamic drivers. Bass is punchier, more textured and faster on the Solomon, and it goes deeper, though the graph doesn't show that. I like the speed and attack of what the Solomon can do and those drivers over what's used in the ECB80. Mids are way more filled out and neutral in their tonality, not as colored, not as warm or as dark as the ECB80. And that the resolution details and micro nuances you can pick up with the Solomon are off the hook. There's a huge, and that was one of the huge differences why you would pay $1,300 or $10,000 or $16,000, many levels above the ECB80. The Solomon just pulls out information on a completely different level. Treble, air details are more pronounced, are more balanced in the mix. The third generation EST drivers that are used in the Solomon are the best so far. Very energy efficient. And I'm not sure what series they're used in this one, but again, this is a pretty darn efficient IM. But the ESTs add that extra shimmer and shine to the trailing edges of hi-hats and cymbal strikes. Love that effect. No other drivers can do that. It's really nice. So, 3 phenomenal sets. The DMA, the ECB80, and the Solomon at different price points. We're really lucky in this hobby to have these 3 IMs in the lineup at different price points, because all of them crush in their respected categories and above for sure. So to finalize my thoughts about this IM, except for this absolutely shit presentation for a $700 IM, it's embarrassing for what ISN did in this packaging. I mean, it just looks like there's a sticker on the standard blue box. It just looks cheap. The cable where you can't get ear hooks, and again, picking a cable, but it doesn't really match up, and asking you to do it because you don't even know, because you haven't heard it before. That's again a bit weird, but if that's the only thing I'm bitching about on this entire IM, okay, good things, right? The rest of it was gravy. I really, really enjoy this tuning. And if you have watched my sound preferences and what I love, take all of that and add that lushness, the warmness, the musicality that the ECB80 can do, and pile on a whole bunch of details, great stage, layering, and technical chops to that. Makes this IM at $700 phenomenal, really. I didn't think I'd be saying that about another Penon product, but obviously I'm over my hate. And I'm sure glad I got a hold of this one. I ended up, just so you know, for some context, I ended up trading another reviewer some samples. So that's how I got this one, and he got that one. And so together, those other IMs are going to more ears out there to get more impressions, and I got this, and we're going to share it around the Canucks so you can get some, my opinion, Bennett's opinion, and Kevin's as well, and see what we all think. So for now, this is Tone Deaf Monk. BGVP Solomon's coming up next. Thanks for watching.